There's a passage from the Bible, I think it's in Psalms, and it goes, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick." Hope deferred maketh the heart sick. I think that it's time to cease to have hope, or maybe it was always time to cease to have hope about certain things, like the Epstein list getting released, like the all of the photographs and information that the CIA has kept a secret about the JFK assassination, and that they continue to insist is not fit for public consumption now, even 70 years later, even though it was supposed to have been released in, I think, 2017 or something. And people now are saying, well, when Trump gets in, he's gonna release it again, and it's gonna get out there. Nothing can stop what's coming, and all that. I really don't want to pour cold water over everybody's hopes and dreams, and I don't want to be black pilled. Like I said, there should always be that little disclaimer, the asterisk. This is not a black pilled video, because I'm not a black pilled kind of guy, because I'm very against black pilling. So it's not saying don't live your life in accordance with what's good. It's not saying that it's over and there's nothing we can do about it. That there's nothing will ever improve, nothing will ever and so forth. All those things, that the black pilled people tend to say. I'm not saying anything like that. All I'm saying is we need to stop hoping that we're finally going to get the information that we're entitled to have, the information that will expose the horrible people who are running the show. I just if I still it's hard for me to believe that there are still QAnon types out there. It's just hard for me to believe that after the first term of Trump, nothing got released, nothing got put out there. If Trump's agenda was all along to expose the perverts in Hollywood and in Washington, and to take down the child trafficking networks and all that kind of stuff, if that was a part of what he was all about, he could have done it. I mean, there was no reason why, especially when he was not gonna. And I said this in a video at around that time, when he was a lame duck president, and he had 60 days before he had to leave office. He could have used that time to just absolutely go. What's the term? That's just to go all out, to go ham. Because what was there to lose, right? He could have exposed everything, because what was there to lose? He was already going to be leaving office, and at the time we didn't know whether he'd be back. So what was there to lose? And yet nothing happened. Even Julian Assange didn't get pardoned. I mean, what kind of world do we live in where Hunter Biden gets pardoned and Julian Assange rots in jail until he finally works out a deal with the corrupt authorities that whereby he's not supposed to talk about anything anymore, but they'll let him out of their prison after however many years he spent in there. Anyway, I don't think we should expect to get this kind of information. I remember the comedian, you know, in 2024, it's all going down. It's all going down in 2024. You know, I remember him. I remember that video and all the stuff about and all the newer stuff about Diddy and other high profile stuff, and as everybody expected, everybody on edge. Pretty soon all these names are gonna be out there. Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. And does that mean we should stop caring about this stuff? No, I think it doesn't. It doesn't mean that to me at all. I think we should care about it. I think high level depravity and corruption is worth paying attention to, worth talking about, worth exposing. But why do we, it's sort of like, well, Reagan had this thing long ago, the same sort of demographic that is into Trump now loved Reagan back in the 80s. And Reagan had this thing about, the government is not the solution to the problem. The government is the problem. The worst words you can hear are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." And these were great lines. And it wasn't, people didn't talk about memes back then, but they were brilliant memes for the 80s, if memes existed in the 80s. Reagan could sling them, but it was always strange to me, like if your deal is that you dislike government, and then you want to become the head of the executive, the president of the United States, the one who's in charge of at least one of the major branches of government, like, do you really hate it that much if you're going all out to obtain this kind of power within government? Does that how much hate can you really have for the government? How much can you really be against the government? And then I just think about one other thing. When Clinton said after the Oklahoma City bombing, which was kind of like a 9/11, a mini 9/11, in that we never found out what the truth was, who really did it, and it was probably an inside job. But just the same as 9/11, the same as a lot of things. But after this happened, Clinton made this statement. He said, "You cannot love your country and hate your government." He actually said that. He said, "You cannot love your country and hate your government." Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you certainly can. I don't know if I love my country per se. I think it's virtuous to love one's own country. I don't always love it. Sometimes I'm pretty annoyed with it. Sometimes I like it. There's definitely some things about it that I like, and I think that there is still a significant demographic within the United States of America that is worthy of love, that is decent, and honorable, and I think it's still that's still out there. The whole culture hasn't totally gone to ruin, but regardless, I think proper patriotism is to love your country for all of its flaws, for all of its strengths and all of its weaknesses as well. You love it because it's yours. The same way that you love your family. You might be from a really messed up family. You might be from a family that's got a lot of problems. Um, but you still love them. I mean, unless they all, did terrible things to you, then I think you're absolved from familial love, except in the sense of, we're still called to love our enemies and all that sort of thing. But I don't think you have to, if you were abused by your family, then I don't think you necessarily have to think about your family with love. But in most situations, it's not anything quite that stark. Your family is at times annoying, at times infuriating, but at other times, really decent and good and wholesome, and there are some people that you like more than others, and there's some people that it's easier to love than to like. I hear that said. It's always funny to hear people talked about that way. Like I love my grandmother, but sometimes it's hard for me to like her. I'm not talking about my own grandmother, by the way. I'm just saying that's an example of something that I've heard. But I think that we are called to love what is ours. We should love our neighbor as ourselves. That means we should love ourselves in a way. In that we should want ourselves to be aligned with that which is the good, and aligned with that which is godly, and holy and decent, and all those sorts of things. So all this is to say, I think it's proper to love your country, but I don't think it's proper to love your government. I think you should, and you can certainly hate your government. I think you have every right to hate your government. And I do. Well, I don't always care enough to hate, but when I do think about them enough, I see much there that is worthy of my hatred, and that's I'm going to continue to do that, in spite of what Bill Clinton declared back in 1995 or whenever it was that he said it. So yeah, have love, have faith, have courage, do what is right, keep exposing that which is corrupt and wrong and disgusting, and repellent and awful, about those who rule over us. But don't expect them to, or don't expect the white hats to ride to our rescue. If it may be said, if there are even white hats, right? I talked about that in my video, The War of the Elites. I mean, we can posit the idea that part of the elite, I think that the elites are not all of one mindset. I think we've seen enough of the elites, or there's enough to gather about their character to see that there are at least factions among them, and there is at least one faction that seems to be better than the other, in that it's not as outwardly depraved, and it's not as it's just not absolutely psychopathic, or maybe it's more about well we need to enslave the population, but let's bide our time a little bit here. Let's not just if we go too quick with this, it's gonna be counterproductive to our wishes. So it may be that the seeming less evil faction of the elite is really just as evil, but they just have a little bit more patience about their aims, or they see it strategically as not not helping their aims to try to to try to just, enslave everybody in a 5 or 10 or 15-year timeline, like the World Economic Forum types seem to want to do. Anyhow, but all that is to say, I'm not anticipating any kind of disclosure coming out about anything, whether it's so-called UFOs, or more importantly, whether it's about the kind of things that I've talked about, the kind of things that I've written about, i.e., Pizzagate and so forth. I don't think we should expect. I don't think we should keep hoping in vain, and I don't think we should keep our hopes up about that kind of stuff, because hope deferred maketh the heart sick. You don't want a sick heart. You want a joyful heart. So foster that within your heart, which will bring it joy. And don't hope for that which will make your heart sick. Just a few thoughts on this fine Saturday afternoon. Pearl Harbor Day, of all days. I'm just dropping some knowledge on you. I'm dropping that knowledge, just like the Japs dropped those bombs on Pearl Harbor at the behest of Roosevelt, or with the full knowledge of Roosevelt anyway, on December 7th, 1941. I'm dropping knowledge on you on December 7th, 2024. Thanks for listening.